All right, how's it going? This is a backpacking YouTube channel, and I recently went on a ton of trips this hiker season in April and May here in NorCal to Humboldt and to the Sierras. And I ended up with a lot of extra footage of Yosemite and etc. And I thought, well, you know, I could use that extra footage to do a video about the Z-Lite because I started using it. Is it as comfortable as an inflatable air mattress? Well, no, it isn't. It's a completely different kind of sleeping experience than an inflatable air pad. One advantage to the Z-Lite obviously is that it's not going to pop and deflate, but there are obviously some other issues to deal with. When you look at the ground and you think about where you're going to sleep, basically you want to pick a spot that's completely flat and smooth and would be comfortable to lay on without the Z-Lite. Because laying on that ground with the Z-Lite is going to feel pretty much similar, almost exactly the same as laying on that dirt without it. Now, obviously there are some alternatives to that. If you were laying on ice, obviously the Z-Lite is more comfortable than trying to sleep on ice. And if you're laying on granite, obviously the Z-Lite is more comfortable than trying to sleep on granite. But to a certain extent, the Z-Lite is exactly the same amount of soft or the same amount of cushion as the dirt. All right, now the dirt can get cold and damp, especially in the early morning, and that's kind of where the Z-Lite steps in, is it just puts a prophylactic barrier, a nice warm barrier between you and the damp dirt so that you don't feel damp and cold and catch a cold in the morning. You know, it prevents you from getting sick. One of the biggest advantages to the Z-Lite is that it's got this kind of egg crate texture to it, which is awesome because when you're inside your mummy, you can literally feel through the mummy and you can feel that egg crate. And what that does is it lets you know that you're on your pad, which is a great feature because you can't really tell the difference between the dirt and the Z-Lite. So there really wouldn't be a way of knowing if you're laying on the dirt or on the Z-Lite unless you could feel that egg crate through the mummy. You know, otherwise you have to unzip your mummy and look around. It's awesome to just be able to be in your mummy and kind of go like this and feel the ground, and you feel this egg crate and you know that you're good, you're still on your bed, you know? And to be honest with you, I did get a good night's sleep on the Z-Lite a couple of nights. And it's just all about the ground that you pick. My advice is just to stare at the ground, look for a nice, completely smooth, flat spot on the ground, kick away any sticks and any pebbles, whatever, get it out of there. Lay your Z-Lite down on the dirt, you know, just spread it out. Lay on there, just lay on it for like a minute. Just put your hands on your chest and kind of stare at the sky and just lay on it and see if it's comfortable, and ask yourself, am I going to be able to fall asleep on this thing? You know, if it's like uneven or bumpy at all, probably you're going to need to fix that situation before you set up camp. As far as setting up your shelter, I would literally set up the shelter over the Z-Lite. Just leave the Z-Lite in that flat spot that you've already tried out. You know, lay it down, lay on it, get comfortable, make a decision about whether or not you're going to be able to sleep there. Leave the Z-Lite where it is, and then set up your shelter on top of the Z-Lite. If your shelter has a tent floor, literally after you set up your tent, just pull it out, pull the Z-Lite out from underneath the tent, and then throw it in the tent and get on it, you know. I would literally just make sure that this is in the right spot before you even think about laying on it and trying to sleep for the night. Because if it's whether or not you get a good night's sleep on the Z-Lite has a lot to do with how tired you are. If you're exhausted from hiking, it'll be easier to sleep on it. I also went ahead and I got on the internet and I found an alternative to the Z-Lite. It's this. This is a German Army surplus store sit pad that unfolds into a sniper mat. Now, this is not intended to offend anybody who's sensitive about World War II or anything. It's just, you know, that's where I found this. I found it on the internet. I ordered it from Europe. It was pretty cheap. It was like 10 bucks. I actually have never even unfolded it, but it's used. It's got some graffiti on here from people. It says like A Kurt or something on here. And yeah, it opens up like so. All right, so you can see that the dimensions are pretty similar to the Z-Lite, and I would say the action on it is going to be pretty similar too. Here's another issue with the Z-Lite is that this foam pad, it works as a back panel framing out your backpack, right? And you can sit on it. Those are really like the two main things that the Z-Lite doesn't do well. This is kind of a funny shape. It doesn't fit into your pack super easy. It does kind of attach to the outside of the pack. You know, it causes you to stick out like a sore thumb, and it announces to the world that you're going to be sleeping outside. So it also causes your pack to be wider so that you're bumping into people on the trail more often. For bushwhacking, it's not great to have this sticking out, you know, on the sides of you. It catches on bushes, etc. So the ground is cold and damp, and you're putting this out on the ground, and basically all that moisture, all that damp, swampy moisture from the ground, it transfers onto the blue surface of the Z-Lite. So when you pack this thing away, it's damp and slimy and dirty, and it kind of stays that way. It just ends up being a really damp, slimy, dirty piece of foam that you're carrying around with you. Bringing the plastic case that comes with it accomplishes nothing. It's still totally filthy and gross. The silver chrome that's on here, yeah, it does reflect your body heat back up at you, and it helps you get warm. And that works particularly well when it's new. But the Z-Lite does show quite a bit of wear and tear, and it gets kind of dirty, and that reflective action on the foam pad, it does kind of wear off, and it's not really as effective anymore as you use the pad. The effectiveness of that chrome paint becomes less and less as you use the Z-Lite.